Thanks for that. Jessica Lemasurier with the news. When Syria's regime unconditionally accepted an Arab League plan for an immediate ceasefire, cynics argued there had to be a catch. Turns out there was. Damascus ignoring its own promise and following up with what many observers believe could be one of the most brutal weeks of crackdown since the uprising began back in March. The fighting in places like the suburbs of Damascus, the city of Homs, driving the UN's death toll above 3,500. 3,500 with thousands in jail or missing. What will the outside world do now, especially the nations who intervened to topple Libya's regime? We're going to try to weigh up the true scale of the crackdown and what it will take to tip the scales inside of Syria. Today in the France 24 debate, we're looking at the tipping point in Syria with Le Figaro senior correspondent, Georges Malbruno. Thank you for being with us. From London, she was the U.S. Embassy's public affairs officer in Damascus from 2007 to 2009. The U.S. State Department's Catherine Van de Weet, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
His Syria comment blog doesn't miss a beat. Joshua Landis joins us from the campus of the University of Oklahoma. Welcome back, Joshua.
Good to be here.
And by the way, you too can weigh in on the conversation on the France 24 debate Facebook page and on Twitter, where our handle is @FrancoisF24. We're going to begin by showing you some amateur video footage allegedly filmed Tuesday in Syria's third largest city, Homs, where 1.6 million residents are reportedly pinned under fire, in many cases without water, food, or medicine for most of the past 10 days. We say reportedly because, as you know, Western journalists or outside journalists of any ilk with little or no access to what's going on inside of Syria. Joshua Landis, from what you've been able to piece together, what is the situation in Homs?
Well, the military staged a withdrawal from Homs yesterday, pulling a lot of troops out. There was cheering in the streets. But they have smashed Homs and tried to arrest and round up the opposition there. And they're hoping that they can bring it to heel the way they have with Hama just before Ramadan, and the way they did with Deir ez-Zor earlier. I think the Syrian regime believes that it's got the opposition more or less under control, or at least that it's winning this fight, and that it's trying to suppress it and believes it can do so using the military.
Now, you say round up people from the opposition. How many people have been rounded up? Do we have any idea? And where are they putting them all?
That we don't know. Obviously, the Deir ez-Zor full, but they've made a lot. The Syrians have always had apartments that they've kept people in, that they don't announce, that are the different branches of intelligence will just get an apartment and they'll keep people holed up in apartments. And so they can expand or contract as they have to. But there are a lot of people arrested. We don't know the numbers. The opposition uses some fairly big numbers, but we can assume that they are trying to, find out who the leaders are, and they're interrogating everybody they drag in.
And when activists claim that this has been the most violent week since the uprising began, is that in your eyes?
Well, there's been over 100 people killed in Homs this last week, and it's been a constant, it's been a big struggle. And Homs is the major area of conflict. There are demonstrations going on in other cities, and particularly in the outskirts of Damascus and other places. But many places have been subdued. Latakia, we saw, poor neighborhoods of Latakia came under fire a few months ago. Hama squashed, Deir ez-Zor, Deraa, the beginning place. So there have been whole regions that have lit up and then been heavily militarized.
We're pleased to be joined at this point by a fourth guest, Syrian activist Sadek Salem. Sadek, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Sadek, we were just talking about the situation in Homs and all those that have been killed over the past week. Have you any news inside Syria this week?
Good evening, and sorry for being late. Actually, today we have 18 death case confirmed. we have an attack in a city called Enkhil, the south of Syria, and Homs, it's a little hell in Syria.
Have you yourself been on the telephone to Syria?
Yeah.
And
yeah, today.
Who did you speak with?
Spoke with my friends in Daraa and in Damascus. In Homs, we couldn't do it. But I've been told that avenues or even half the city of Homs has been attacked for the moment. It has been 5 weeks of heavily attacks, and it has been, especially we are in the 6th day of a real crackdown in Homs. So I wish the best for them. And here we recall an activist called Fadwa Sulaiman. She has recorded a farewell message just to tell us that if ever I have died or something, I accuse the Syrian regime and the Shabiha in my death. And it was really touching of her. For 4 minutes of farewelling Syrian people, just to say that if ever I have died, it's up to you to continue. Homs today.
All right, testimonial there. We're going to call up a map of Syria, a map which highlights just a few of the hotspots, Sadiq Salem naming some of them there. Georges Malbruno, when you look at the map, of course, this is an incomplete picture of what the situation is in Syria. We're talking about how amazed we are at the crackdown's gone on so long. It's also amazing when you look at this, at how long the uprising has gone on.
Yeah, we have been entering in the 8th month of uprising, even though now I think that the number of people who can demonstrate are less than 3 months ago, for a very simple reason that it's quite impossible for people to go out, to leave their house, to go in the street, because there is a huge military deployment, etc. And there was a huge repression. So the spirit of the uprising is still there, even though the numbers of the demonstrators are less now. But when we talk about Homs, we have to emphasize that Homs is a very particular city because it's a mosaic. You have a majority of Sunni, you have a minority of Alawite and Christians, and the relations between the Alawites, especially who are backing the regime, and the Sunni are quite tense now. And we've heard about the killings from September. We've heard about even some kidnappings. The niece of Burhan Khalioun, who is the chief of the National Syrian Council, the most important opposition group, has been kidnapped a few weeks ago by Alawites. And what happened after? Some young revolutionary guys kidnapped some Alawites girls, and after that they managed to be released. But the situation is very, very tense, and none of neither the regime, I think, nor the opposition would like the civil war to extend, but it could happen.
No, I just think Fadwa just is Alawite, and Fadwa, the girl whom I was talking about, is Alawite.
She's Alawite. Yeah.
Nidal Hassani was kidnapped last week. Is Alawite. It's not very clear, and I would like to say that the regime is calling for a civil war. He's begging for a civil war. It's not that the regime is the opposition. No, he's calling. He's begging for.
It's a big trap for the opposition.
Let me call Catherine van der Weed on this. Have you had any evidence of sectarian violence, of the beginning of a civil war?
Well, certainly we've seen incidents of sectarian violence, but I think what we see more importantly is that the regime is trying to foment that sectarian violence by pitting communities against one another, by making false allegations of foreign interference, in particular by the United States. So I don't see the beginnings of that, but certainly we see the possibility.
Now, I'd like to jump in here if I could.
Go ahead, Joshua.
I'm not sure that the regime is trying to foment civil war. Certainly the regime is using sectarian fears to shore up its base support, which is amongst the minorities. And in some ways, you've got Alawites and Christians and Druze and so forth who are supporting. That's about 25% of Syria. Then you've got a bunch of Sunnis who are sitting on their hands and are fearful. But I don't think the regime wants civil war. They want their supporters to fear violence. But if there is real civil war, and we saw last week a busload of Alawites were attacked and had their heads chopped open with axes by young revolutionaries. And that would be very dangerous, I think, for the regime. Certainly it would. It does frighten Alawites,
Mr. Joshua,
which is good for the regime in one way. But it's not good because the country is 75% Sunnis.
It was
and if
proven.
we see the kind of civil war we saw in Iraq, the Sunnis are going to win.
Sorry. It was proven that this video is from Iraq 2 years ago. It was proven by professionals. So this video is the story of internet. It's for one whole week, and everybody knows the origin, the source of the video. We cannot take it as an evidence, as well as.
But there have been a number of Alawite doctors who've been shot outside their home. Hassoun's son was killed. And regime supporters in Aleppo have been shot. Industrialists.
Hassoun is not Alawite. He's
of course,
Sunni.
he's not Alawite, but he's a regime supporter.
I'm not sure. We're not sure. Sorry. It's an ancient game of tyrants that we kill. We kill the one whom think that we cannot kill. Just to start a small civil war. It's not. It's his last solution. They cannot. We have a person which is called.
This is a conspiracy.
Luis Oquiro. No, it's not conspiracy. It's Luis Moreno Campo is the solution.
I'm not sure that I agree with Joshua that I'm not sure that the regime it's its interest to have a civil war because. More probably that if there is a civil war, I think we will reach a point where Turkey and probably Jordan will intervene, and I'm not sure that the Syrian regime has this interest. So to foment some sectarian violence, to play on this issue for sure, but because he has also to protect his own population.
No, he's not protecting Alawite. It's a mafioso. It's the regime of the family. It's not the regime of Alawite.
Just the security apparatus is Alawite.
Just the argument. Sorry. 1 minute. For the argument of the civil war. The civil war is a problem which has a solution, which is the Syrian regime. The guys are thinking just like this. They are acting just like officers. They are officers. They are inventing a problem in order to show themselves as a solution.
Let me bring in Catherine van de Weet here. We as journalists, we try to shy away from conspiracy theories. But when it comes to Syria, and you were posted there for 2 years, there seem to be an awful lot of them.
They provide a very convenient excuse to cover up behavior, to divert attention. In the last 8 months, I've seen multiple times events take place, such as attacks on the French and American embassies, attacks on the American ambassador, and so on, just specifically to our own interests, with then accusations of conspiracy. And the goal is clearly to divert attention from the actions of the regime. To come back to my earlier point, I didn't mean to say that the regime is trying to foment a civil war. I agree with Dr. Landis that it's playing the sectarian card. But what's the difference between the tactic and the final result? If you continue to do that, you risk precipitating a civil war.
All right, and for the time being, another point that we should mention, is the activists who are inside all of these towns. Again, we mentioned it at the top, 8 months on, still resisting. On Wednesday, the France 24 Observers, our bloggers' website, contacted 3 activists inside Syria who described life in hiding. Here's what one of the 3 out of Dera had to say.
الوضع العام نحن في حالة هروب دائم ملاحقين بشكل دائم نضطر أحيانا أن نغير مكان تواجدنا في اليوم أكثر من مرة. الحالة خطيرة بكل معنى الكلمة. أنا معلوماتي أن اسمي على قائمة الاغتيال. هنالك قائمة اغتيال للمعارضين فيها بحدود 30-40 300 اسم. هذه شبكات من العلاقات فيها الاحتياطات الأمنية الكافية. لابد دوما من معرفة بعض الأشخاص. إذا تم اعتقال شخص يتم تغيير أماكن يعني كل الناشطين وكل الشباب. هذه المسألة لأنه تحت التعذيب لا تستطيعي أن تضمني أحدا. ليس يعني نقص شجاعة، الشعب السوري بطل حقيقة، لكن يعني في هنالك أساليب تعذيب لا يمكن تصورها على الإطلاق يعني. فبالتالي أي شخص ممكن أن يعترف بلحظة ما من التعذيب وانهيار الأعصاب، فلذلك على الجميع أن يغير موقعه الذي يعرف هذا الشخص.
Georges Bruno, when you were in Syria back in August, did you have a sense of the resourcefulness of some of these people?
Sorry,
Did you have a sense of the resourcefulness of some of these people? Did you think that, we'd be here in November and they'd still be resisting?
Yes, for sure. When I was there in end of August, I saw that there were two lines which are parallel. The regime was completely committed to repress, etc. And in front of that, the streets, the young guys, even though they knew that they can't topple the regime by themselves, even though they knew that they risk huge repression, etc., they are completely committed to topple the regime and to keep on their fight. That's the problem. We are completely in a stalemate now, and the regime is strong on his security and confessional basis. It will not fall down tomorrow. And the streets, the revolutionaries, will not stop their violence, their asks, their demands for democracy tomorrow. So the opposition in Paris, in London, or everywhere, they know that. They know that they can't topple the regime without a foreign intervention. The problem is the foreign intervention. A lot of in Syria young guys are approve that because they are under huge pressure. But this question also is provoking a debate among the opponents inside Michel Kilo, Fayez Sarraj, Hassan Abdelaziz, and others, mainly abroad, who can't, for the moment, ask for a foreign intervention, but would like to have a foreign intervention. They ask now for UN to protect the civilians, but in fact they would like to have this foreign intervention, but they can't ask for that. Right. So that's the problem.
Whether or not to ask outside help, we're going to pick up on that point when the France 24 debate resumes. Stay with us.